Alright, so let's start today's workshop. And if HRID can stop presenting, I'll first get to the outline of today's workshop. Alright. Alright, I hope my screen is visible. So, first of all, I had shared the Drive link with all of you via email, those who had entered their email in the chat. So, I had shared this entire folder with you guys. So, over here, you can find the important forms such as submission of assignment, registration for the next workshop, the one with Jasha, and also the fellowship program. Workshop 1, we have the assignment 1, workshop link 1, and the LaTeX file. And I had mentioned in the note that while I share the document with you guys, although it may show no preview available, when you download it, you can easily open it on Text Studio. Alright, and also the cheat sheets, general math and symbols. And workshop 2, we have the assignment 2 and the links for the second workshop. And third will be updated after this workshop. So that's about it. And so yeah, this is the outline of the workshop. Day 3 will be focusing on research CV assignments and a shortcut. Now I've also added a small topic of basically project presentations in the starting, which we'll quickly go through because that will be really helpful at university and things like that as well. So that is the workshop overview which we just finished. Then basically yesterday someone had asked me a question, what template do we use if that organization or that journal does not have its own template on Overleaf, right? That's a good question. Many conferences are held yearly and not all of them have template, most of them don't. So basically what do we use, what template do we use? So I had asked one of my friends. There's a paper by one of my friends, and I'm pretty sure you must have seen a research paper that looks like this. So this is a very generic sort of research paper template. This is how people use it: the topic, the authors, the affiliation, abstract keywords, introduction, and so on. Basically, you can change your sections to your own convenience. Like over here's radiation, but you can change it. But this is the basic generic sort of template. And as you see, it has images and things like that, so you can again scan. Do not copy the content obviously, but scan it. And I believe the link to this template has been mentioned in the workshop 3 links, which will be uploaded soon on the drive, so you can access this via that. And it's not a overleaf template, this was made by one of my friends. So make sure you don't start editing this document. First go back to your projects and just click this generic research paper template and copy it, because the link that has been shared is an edit link. So don't edit this document, just copy it so that it becomes your own copy, and then you can edit it how many ever times you want basically. So this is the generic template as I've shown. All packages are there, introduction and this and that, everything is at one page. And also if possible, make a folder, and whatever pictures you use, don't just put them like this, but put them in a folder. It'll be more organized. So that was the generic sort of template for research papers. Now next we have Overleaf versus Google Slides. So let's talk a little bit about project presentations. So well, there is a generic Overleaf PPT template as well. So as you'll see, there are many options right here, and but the generic one is this right here. You must have seen it as well. Many professors, when they present in conferences or other places like that, they oftentimes use this template. Not always, but sometimes. And I personally wouldn't suggest using Overleaf or LaTeX for presentations. Although you can, why not? But instead, it's much more convenient on Google Slides, and really there isn't a lot that you would lose on if you do it on Google Slides basically. So I would suggest, out of Overleaf presentation and Google Slides, use Google Slides. And initially you might think there are a few very little templates, but for that you can go to slidesgo.com as well. There are a lot of templates to choose from. And basically when you have, for example, let's say a project presentation to make, right? I'll answer the questions in the end, or if you can speak up, that would do as well, because I cannot see the screen right now, but yeah. So basically, as I was saying, so when you have a university project that you've made, and oftentimes the professor might ask you to present it, it would be a better thing to do to make it really well. Yeah, so I'll give you a basic outline of that as well. So here are a few examples. So these templates I've got from slidesgo.com as well. So really great website for templates. So as you'll see, like the basic thing, right? So let me just tell you a format. So there are various formats that I've used, but the basic outline is the abstract, which is like usually just one slide like this. The literature overview and methodology, you can have it as separate or together depending. There's no such concrete like outline for presentations, but I've tried to keep it similar to research papers. Then the third one, computational simulations, and then conclusions. So yeah, as you'll see right here, we have literature overview and methodology, so things like that. Now make sure whatever images you use, you sort of cite it, right? So you use the quotes button on Google Scholar and you just paste it right here. Whatever images you use, just make sure you do that. And yeah, everywhere you'll see like it has been marked. And now the next thing, equations. How do you put equations, right? Like you have two methods. You can just like copy paste, like like take a screenshot from web, but there are different fonts and this and that. Like it doesn't look you can say uniform, right? So what I usually like, I personally do is I have a separate LaTeX file. I told you I use this for assignments, and I also use this for project presentations. So basically I have this small like one-page file, nothing much, like basic outline, use package, blah blah blah, begin document. All I have here are equations basically. And what I do is, suppose I want to use, let's say, this particular equation right here, right here for the transformed mu in metamaterials. So what I do is I type in the code here and I run it and I get the sort of equation here, right? What I can do is zoom in and just take a screenshot of this. Like it is a little bit of work, but like to really make your presentation look like really good and have like uniform equations, not too thick, not like some are thick, some are too thin. That shouldn't be the case, right? So this is what I do for that. Equal thickness, everything looks sort of uniform. So yeah, I type in the sort of you can say equation or expression here, and I take the screenshot like that. And if I go back, I can show it to you. So for example, this is just one of them. I'll show it to you in the next presentation. And yeah, you can add memes as well if you wish, but be sure like you do it like what type of professor it is, and some might not appreciate it, but if they're fine with it, sure, why not? And then we have numerical 2.2 section like that. Just keep it organized. It looks pretty neat, right? And the sort of, you can say, the table, right, as you'll see, this is sort of specific design, and this is pre-available on the template itself, which I'll show you later. But yeah, conclusions, and in the end put a few other references, and put a few cite a few papers that you have gone through for this project, and then just thank you. That's the basic outline, right? Now I've used this template a lot of times. I like this template, that's why. But there's another project. So as you'll see, the Jacobian right here, if I go back right here, this one I had screenshotted it and I had just put it over here. That's how I got it basically. And yeah, I'll see another thing you'll notice is I don't have a lot of writing on PPTs. Like many people, like in their presentation, they write paragraphs on paragraphs, right, and they just read through it. That also reduces the quality of the presentation. So make sure you have sort of videos and gifs and like images, like more visual to the PPT, and you speak what you had to speak. Don't read it out of the sort of PPT basically. It sort of might bore the audience as well. So have make it visual and read it. So obviously it requires practice prior to presentation, so you must do that for a good presentation, right? And you can label equations and use symbols, things like that. And yeah, the same thing follows, references and thank you. For this one I had a different outline. I didn't have abstract at all. I just had mathematical POV, MATLAB simulation, engineering POV, and other applications. So the basic outline can change, but just make sure of a few key points, right? Images more than words, and uniform equations, have some arrows, elements like that, and all that. And for digital electronics, I use this template. You can get a lot of templates. Over here I've used a really proper format which you use in research papers. abstract literature overview, which is sort of introduction, methodology, conclusion, and future scope. And the same thing follows here. Again, a lot of images, little bit of writing and equations. You can highlight it and things like that. But yeah, and you also have astrophysics you can use. Like there's literally a template for everything. Literally, for this we have a template for this on slidesgo.com. So literally everything is there. So what you can do is save a few templates you like for your projects beforehand on your account, and you can edit it later to your own convenience, make how many ever copies you want basically. So that was about the templates and things like that, project presentation format. Alright, now we'll come to the CVs, right? The main body of the presentation. Again, all these links are available on the txt file which will be uploaded. So yeah, again, Overleaf you can use for CV and resume as well. A lot of templates to choose from, and this might even get confusing. You have a resume in Chinese and in like all other, like many languages basically, even in French and things like that. And you can either use this or we have also shared this link. This basically, all of these are LaTeX templates, but based on what you would like, the top 15 or whatever they have compiled, and I like this list. I personally use I'm not sure if it's this here, but yeah, I use this one. This is what my CV is in, professional CV. So if you click download here, for example, for any template, it goes to the Overleaf one. So it has shortlisted the CVs for you basically, so you don't have to go through the thousands of templates available on Overleaf. So I basically use this, so I can open it as a template, and I'll just go to my CV basically, and this is what it basically looks like. Let me just refresh for a sec. Yeah, this is what it looks like. I won't be scrolling up because there's my number and things like that, but the basic outline is name, residence number, things like that. And then what you can add is personal website, ResearchGate profile, LinkedIn profile, things like that. And why I use Overleaf is a very important thing is the sort of customizability again, right? That's the whole point of LaTeX and Overleaf. So again, like I can href, I had told you last time, right? For external sort of websites, you can say. So if I can open my CV right here, yeah, and if I click, let's say, ResearchGate profile, it opens my ResearchGate profile. Pretty simple, right? And so yeah, if we go right here, ResearchGate profile, LinkedIn profile, personal website is good to have. Like you don't necessarily have to pay for the domain.com and all that. You can make it on Google sites. That is a very convenient way as well, a simple site, so that you can make that your personal website. And now the format basically. Let me go right here to explain the format. This right here on the left hand side, I hope you can see. The first, obviously, personal data, and just for the convenience of the reader, I guess you can write a note. Click on hyperlinks in blue for additional details. That's it. Now I have two sort of formats for you. One is for undergraduates and other is for a graduate CV, a PhD student, or things like that. So you have an idea of both. So basically, as an undergraduate, when you apply for masters or PhD, they don't necessarily expect you to have a publication, right? They don't expect that from you. If you have like fantastic in a good journal, proper journal, but other than that, they don't expect it. It's all right. You can get admission without paper as well. It's fine. So the outline for that would be, first of all, as a researcher, you have to establish your research interest first. Like if you're applying to a professor, the professor first must know that, all right, his research interests sort of align with mine, right? If you, for example, I'm interested in, let's say, mathematical physics. If I apply to a biology professor, like it doesn't make any sense. I'm not going to get selected, right? So just make sure you establish your interest first, so the professor knows that, all right, he wants to work in this domain, or he has worked in this domain before. So first section after personal data would be research interests, like this. Again, the template will be shared via the link, and all you have to do is sort of like change the content basically. So this right here, and you can change the heading as well. So I've written my few research interests over here. Then next would be obviously education, your school you can add, and obviously university, your major, minors, and like below, like this isn't necessary, but I have added over here like members of society. For example, I'm a member of research society and engineering physics technical hub as well. So you can sort of add that in your CV below your education in under your college, and engineering, physics, minors in computing, mathematics and computing, all that. And you can also like sort of hyperlink your university. So if someone wants, they can like click on it and go to your university's profile or school's profile. So yeah, hyperlink stuff basically, make it convenient. The basic aim of a CV or resume is to sort of give a like a quick sort of you as a person, right, in like 2 or 3 pages or even 1 page in some cases, right? So like you have to sort of make it compact without making it look too shabby and like compact, right? And hyperlink is obviously the way to do it, right? So that's what you do, hyperlink it. So for example, let's say projects undertaken. Like I don't want to fill my entire CV with like whatever projects I've undertaken. So after education, put projects undertaken, the projects you have worked on. So I don't want to put tens of like projects. So what I do is I write my top four, what I think will help for my general relativity, mathematical physics topics like that, right? You don't need to have like one CV. You can have 4 CVs as well, one for each sort of field you're applying to, one for general relativity, one for nonlinear dynamics, things like that, right? So have separate CVs. Like it will require some time initially, but it'll really help you in the long term, right? So have that. So let's say this is for astrophysics, right? So I have like celestial n-body and then exomoons and circumplanetary planets and perturbation theory, things like that, right? So I've put those over here, but I've also worked on other projects, maybe in other fields. So what I have done here is I've written and more is hyperlinked. So if I click more, I am taken to my projects list, right? As you'll see here, let me show you. So I have one overleaf for my CV, the main CV. I have one for projects undertaken. Over here, only the projects have been mentioned. What projects have I worked on? And then I have conferences attended. What conferences have I attended? And then knowledge list. Knowledge list I have put in a way because I've taken a lot of online courses and I've done a lot of self-study from books and YouTube combined. So even that is a good thing to mention. So it shows sort of dedication, right? So in the sort of knowledge list, I call it, you can add what you have self-studied and make sure to source it, like not cite, but source it basically. What lectures have you taken? I've taken these lectures on YouTube or on edX or on whatever site. And what book have you used? I've used Introduction to Cosmology, second edition, blah, blah, blah. And if someone clicks here on the book, let's say, then they are redirected to the book site right here. This is the book, right? So things like that, have it hyperlinked, right? And so yeah, things like that. So self-study, and then also MOOCs and physics, mathematics, logic and skills, things like that. So keep it organized. So I mainly have 3 other documents compared to CV. Let me repeat: projects undertaken, conferences attended, and the sort of self-study and MOOCs basically. So yeah, now let me go back right here. Alright, so 4 I have mentioned here, and the rest, if the professor or anyone wants to check, they can click more and they can see all my projects in another document. So it's convenient like that. Next, skills. Now, I wouldn't suggest adding MS Office and things like that in your skills because, yeah, like before, like even like having English as a language was a benefit, right? Like long back, a few years ago. But now it has become very common. It's not like a distinctive factor anymore. So there's no use of really mentioning it in like exclusively mentioning it in your CV, right? So don't really mention MS Office. It's taken by default. You're supposed to know it in a way, So you can write programming languages, C++, Python, MATLAB, electronic simulation, Arduino, and so on, other tools. Now you can also add LaTeX after like a little bit of practice. Then work experience. So you have worked. It's not necessary, but if you have mathematical physics instructor, you can add that. Summer and winter schools, this will also be important. So for example, I've added a winter school, so I've added it. So a sort of like really short description as well for everything I've put, if you'll notice, for the projects, for the winter school and things like that. So here I've mentioned like what all lectures were there, right? Like Dr. Gelb, Dr. Neil, Lambert and things like that. So professors and everything, you can mention it over here. And you can click add your certifications if you have gotten any. So below you can click here, so they'll get to the certification basically. And for example, even in projects, right here you'll see research preprint draft. So if someone clicks here, they'll be taken to this my research gate for this paper, right? So that's how you do it basically. Now going back again, so yeah, your organization as well, you can mention your professors, you can mention as well, they can go to their university sort of profile and things like that. So yeah, the basic outline for this is the heading, the organization or organization of place you have worked at, the short description, and sort of like a proof in a way, you can say, right? So certification or award, or in a way website, for example, a conference I attended, challenges and recent advances in mathematical physics by University of Bristol in UK. So short description and the specific institute in the university that had handled it, so it shows like this institute as well, so more specificity. And conference website, let me see if it's still up because the conference is over. Archived event, right? It has been archived now, but as you can see, University of Bristol and everything, so it was an active website a few like weeks or months ago, right? So yeah, that's sort of proof. And again, conferences attended, I've added more. I don't want to spam my entire CV with conferences either. And then I have awards and honors if you want to add. And then self-study as well, you can add. In self-study, don't like separate it, self-study and MOOCs, keep it as one. And if they want a separate look, or like more courses that you've taken, again, and more, add this to, if you have a lot, then just add and more in the end. And languages you can add over here if you want, but don't, as I said, like don't write English like specifically in skills or MS Office. It's not really a distinctive skill anymore, right? But you can add languages, that helps. And references, obviously, the name, the sort of position, university, and email, whatever you want to contact. So this was sort of for undergraduates. Now for graduate, again, I won't scroll up for this someone else's CV. I won't show their personal data, but the basic outline in the personal data is same. Name, residence, sort of like like personal website or email, number, things like that, right? So that is personal data. Again, this is for a sort of PhD student. This is a PhD student CV. So again, the first thing, again, you have to show your research interest. What are your interests? So first section will be research interests. Second, education, obviously that will always remain. Then again, projects undertaken. And you can mention here the date, as you'll see even over here, we have mentioned the date on the side, right? Months or years and things like that. Same thing. Or if it's your master's thesis, bachelor's thesis, mention it specifically, right? Same thing. Heading, supervisor or organization, or you can add both. Like for example, here he has added organization and then below supervisor, and then short sort of description, and he has also added draft of thesis or full report, proof in the end. So again, projects undertaken, and so that work experience. Now as a PhD student, by the time you're a PhD student, you will likely have a few publications, right? So this is where the format sort of changes, because as an undergraduate it's okay to not have it, but as a PhD student, like you'll likely have publications in good journals, right? So this is how you do it. So everything remains same: personal data, research interest, education, projects undertaken. After that, like after work experience, you have publications. So here you can subdivide it into peer-reviewed journals and also conference talks. So obviously it's same as citation, like the same sort of format is followed. Authors, the topic, the sort of like page number, and journal or conference, and then like the DOI if it is available in the citation, right? It will be like every research paper has a DOI number, but in the citation it is dependent. It could be there, it could not be there, depending on the format, but it is better to add. So yeah, again, it is hyperlinked. If someone clicks, they'll go on that paper. So that is your peer-reviewed journals and even conference talks, same sort of format. And you can also say you have received external paper if you have, and things like that, right? Next, again, skills, same thing. Like so yeah, like operating system, he knows multiple. That's why he can add Windows, but don't just write Windows. Like people will assume you know the basic Windows, right? So unless and until you are really like an expert at it, like back-end stuff, like mention it, otherwise don't, right? So yeah, C++, Python, MATLAB, and then things like that, CAD software. He this particular PhD student is specializing in sort of applied mathematics with applications in mechanical engineering. So yeah, that's why you will see ANSYS and softwares like that. And next we have scholarships, awards and honors, same thing. And then obviously languages. If you have taken any tests like German or things like that, you can mention your score as well, the proficiency level, and obviously references. Now the differences you'll notice here is there's no conferences attended, because as a PhD student you are expected to have given conference talks, not just attended but given talks, right? So there's no real point to like have it like have conferences attended. but you can mention in the end like other information or exam like and more, right? Similarly, you can just add and more information, something like that. And there, if you want, you can add these things, but keep it short, right? You don't want to again like make it like 4 or 5 pages. So that's why. So as you'll see, the conferences attended has been removed. Self-study and MOOCs have been removed because anyways by education they expect you to have a lot of knowledge. You're a PhD student. And what else has been removed? The summer and winter schools, right? As a PhD student, you'll usually like be working on your research. You won't be attending like winter and summer schools anymore, usually speaking. So again, no use of putting it there. But yeah, other than that, you'll see like pretty much the same outline, right? So yeah, these are the two examples of sort of CV you can take. And I haven't attached these two CVs in the links for obviously privacy reasons, but the basic, let me show you this one right here. Just a thing, let me go to the links again. So yeah, right here, this one. So if I go here again, back here, so I told you, right, like out of these 15 I used one of these. One sec. We have also shared this particular link. We'll be sharing this one, right? So when you click download, you have been taken to this particular template page. So this link will also be shared. So basically all you have to do is change the sort of content. Everything else remains the same. And as you'll see, the format is different as well. They have personal information, work experience, and then education. Like the format is different, but again, headings as well you can change now, right? Since you know LaTeX, so all that as well. Now we have done the CV format, and the last thing would be the sort of forbidden tool, I would like to call it, right? Let us open that. Mathfix. Right, Mathfix. So what is the use of Mathfix? Basically, I won't be demonstrating it right now, but you have to click this button and you have to do this, and it sort of scans your snapshot, right? It scans the snapshot, and as you'll see here, see something like this. You'll see backslash h line, right? So it hasn't done it perfectly because you have to like open the document and properly, there's low resolution right now, so you have to do it again. But the basic idea behind it is it scans your snapshot, what you have taken, and it converts it to a LaTeX code, right? And the LaTeX code is right here. You have to press it, it gets copied, and you can paste it. Obviously, do not use this for your research papers. Again, plagiarism alert, right? So do not use it there. What you can use it for, as I said, if you have any PPTs, right, and you have referred to like let's say like some equation, right? I won't open it again, but some equation, and so again, like I want to use that equation, but let's say I don't want to like, it's a long equation, I don't want to like type the entire thing again, I want to do it quickly. So what I can do is take a snapshot of that particular equation and then paste the code here, and again zoom, take a screenshot. So in that way it's like you have a uniform thickness and it looks much neater, right? So I use it for that reason. Do not use it for like content copying and pasting, right? Do not use it for that. Just use it for equations, basically for presentations and things like that. So that sort of speeds up your process for the presentation as well. And so yeah, that is the use for this. And yeah, I believe you can also use it to solve equations, although I have never used the solver. I've just used it for the equations. So Mathfix snipping tool, this as well has been linked. And yeah, that's it for this present workshop. This was a pretty short workshop, and now we can get a little bit into like assignments and things like that, right? So first of all, like, does anyone have any doubt? All right, so let me just show you one more thing. So right here, if you'll see, how do we get this design, right? Although it is not necessary because we have the template, let me just sort of refresh it for you in a way. So it's a table. This is actually a table right here, if you'll like try to notice. So we do begin tabular. Again, all this is mentioned in the template itself. You don't have to do a lot, just change the content. Now text it again, if you remember, it's for italics. The December 2020 is italics, and inside the table is for going to the next row, right? And so if you'll see December 2020, the next row is the sort of the heading, right? So you'll notice here tabular and then under curly bracket, sorry, R, and then we have this particular line right here, this line. So this sort of shows like the number of lines you'll have, right? Although I've showed you how to use it, use the generator, like see right here. Now it has two lines, right? So this sort of defines how many borders does it have between the R and the P. The P has another curly bracket 11 centimeter. That's sort of to define the length of this, right? Because this column, as you'll see, is like sort of like not that wide, whereas this one is pretty wide, right? So it defines the width in a way. So you have text date December 2020, and you have the sort of topic, and this and is backslash. So this is not going to the next sort of column. This is just an actual and right here. If you'll see, this is an actual and. So that, and then the double backslash used to go to the next row. So this was our first row right here, December 2020, and then we have a border in between, and then the heading. Now we go to the next one. Again, text IT, italics, present. This is our next row, and then we have the obviously and, which means we move to the next one right here. You'll see there's an and then again now we hyperlink it. Now all of this is in italics, and we href hyperlink it. The first curly bracket says the URL, the second what is the text that has been like put in URL. And note that in this particular template you don't need to use backslash text color blue. Automatically when you like sort of refer to it, it'll be turned into like blue automatically. So that is another convenient thing for this template. And again, now next row. Now since you'll see like now we have this particular row as well, right? But we don't have anything in the first column. So as you'll see, when we go to the next row, we straight away say and. That means we skip the first element. There's nothing over here in this area, and we go to the next row, and then we put the sort of you can say description, and we want small size, and for that we have footnote size. This is mentioned in the first general cheat sheet as well. For the first workshop it has been mentioned for small sort of font. Then again we go to next, skip that, and we link project report ongoing. So this all these are sort of like tables in a way. So yeah, that was a sort of refreshment, you can say, for the coding. And yeah, that's it for the workshop. Now any questions?
I have one question, that is, if I have done some extra courses from some website like Coursera or something,
Yeah,
where do I put that? In what section do I include that?
yeah, right here. Even I have put it right here. So self-study and MOOCs is like online courses basically, right? So in starting I've put self-study ones because this I've done like properly with books and lectures and things like that. And below right here I have a few online courses. As you'll see, like I've put the course name, edX, and which university on edX, ANU, and then program credentials. So if I click here, make sure like if you have paid for it, then like your certificate right here, you have linked it as well. It will help a lot for authentication. But if you haven't, no problem, you can mention it as self-study, right? There's no issue in that. You don't have to pay for every course. That's not a problem. And Coursera right here and things like that. So self-study and MOOC. And also mention it, as I said, like make 4 extra documents, right? So right here, knowledge list, the self-study, and then MOOCs right here. It'll be mentioned here. Yeah, MOOCs for physics. I've done astrophysics. Coursera, I've done Big Bang to Dark Energy and things like that. And so yeah, mention it in 2 places, knowledge list and sort of the main CV. Now I'll also explain a little bit about the format of sort of the let's say project list, right? Because like here we have like multiple headings, and we have like it looks a little different, right? Over here it's simple, like basically the same thing as we have over here. Let me just recompile it once. So yeah, one line again. So projects undertaken, I put 4 here, and then I put and more. So as you'll see, this is the entire. Let me take a shorter thing. Let's say conferences attended, so I can highlight it together. Conferences attended. Let me just remove this. It's a comment anyway. Yeah, so let me highlight this entire thing. So this entire code corresponds to this section, conferences attended, right? So now, as you'll see, we start the table, same format, R and then P, the next row is like 11 centimeters in width, same thing. So we have this, that is one element. So now you'll see we have one sort of group, and then we have a gap in middle, right? And then we continue with the second element, like second conference you can say, and then a gap and things like that, right? So how do we do that? So this is our first element that I had explained. Now after you finish this, you have to enter this particular thing, multi-column, and then this particular thing. This is already again mentioned in the template itself, but yeah. So this is what separates the two elements or two conferences in this case, right? So you do this and you sort of get a gap because of that. Again, go to this double backslash, go to the next line. This is the multi-column sort of command which is used in like sort of tables, like huge tables which have like subparts as well. So there's this one like conferences and it has subparts, right? We have like multiple rows in one element itself, right? And we have multiple elements, so it's like a sort of relatively big table, like subdivisions we have. So in that case you can use multi-column. And so yeah, this particular format, there's nothing to change here. You go to the next line and same format follows again, same thing as you'll see, text IT December 2016, same thing. Now this command is used for going to the next element, but after you're finished with that table, then you, except doing this, you just put backslash end tabular. You started with backslash begin tabular, you end with end tabular, like that. And then I've gone like a couple of lines below, and this particular part right here is the and more part. This right here, the table has finished. Now this is an extra part that I've added, and more. So if someone wants to see more conference that I've attended and things like that. So again, text BF, if you remember, is for bold. So this and more is bold, as you'll see here. And again, and like if someone clicks on and, they won't be like referred to another web page. But here we have href. The more is the linked page word here. So that's how you do it, right? For multiple elements. Now you'll understand pretty easily. So the only difference between sort of like elements over here, like over here we have 4 and more, and over here is simply that we have more elements in the table, right? So over here I just used multi-column like 3 times, and then I like, sorry, here 1 time, and I did end tabular. In this case I have 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8, around 8 or 9, yeah, 8. So I have to use this 8 times. So basically all I need to know is this particular part, and I just have to copy paste it and change the content again and again. Basically the format remains the same for each element. So I do that for each element, and in the I end with end tabular in the end. And that's how you make the secondary sort of files, you can say, project list, conference list, and knowledge list, things like that. So yeah, anything else?
Hello.
Yeah.
Can we present now, like our presentations, assignments?
Yeah, sure. Just a second. I hope there are no questions related to the CV and stuff like that. So now let me just look at the names, right, of the people who had submitted on the form first.
No, I haven't submitted. Like I was about to submit. Maybe I will submit by tonight. I forgot actually. I got lost the link.
Alright, so I guess we'll, like, whoever have submitted, we'll let them present first, and you can present after them, alright?
Okay, sure.
Yeah. Alright, so let me just have a look at the list. I'll end our YouTube stream right now first, and then we can continue with the sort of